Good afternoon or evening, depending on where you are, everybody. It's your wonderful windmaids, your cruise ship captain, Chartreuse Proxy, ever at your service. And I noticed that as I was leaving it on stream starting, I had desktop audio still muted. Well, that's fantastic, ain't it? Because I had my theme music running on in the background that whole time, but I guess nobody got to hear it. Well, hopefully everybody's doing well tonight. It's your wonderful windmaids, your cruise ship captain, Chartreuse Proxy, ever at your service here. And today, we are going to be just showing out, playing some Power Watch Sim as we are on Podcast by Proxy tonight, where if no one else will talk about it, I will. I'm your host as always, going solo tonight, because I just wanted to talk about a little bit more, I just would say somber and sober topics. I'm going to be talking about real life, in its simplest essence. But, to basically sum things up, I will just echo what I had in my tweet. Today is the 22nd episode of Podcast by Proxy, Story of My Life. What I wanted to talk about today was just how I'm 1 week away, basically, from my school obligations, and of course, my scheduling, going onwards from that. Going on to that for my limited time, to what I'll get with like streaming, getting to be with friends and games, and just throughout everything, finding my motivation to do whatever I can. But we'll all be doing that as we go and Power Wash, all to the lovely tune of none other than Power Wash Simulator. Well, that's where we left off. I had actually cleaned up the skate part, a little bit off stream, and I played a good amount, so now, moving on to a bigger job, which hopefully we'll try to finish at the end of today. We are cleaning a whole fire station. And hold on, can I venture out farther out here? Nope, unfortunately not. Anyway, yep, we're gonna clean out this whole fire station, as you can see, everything in between. I've bought myself the best power washer, the biggest heavy duty. Bought the extensions to it as well. And a few other nice things to go with it, but we'll just be showing out as we do that. On with just, again, taking care of everything and anything in between. Oh my goodness, I get to move the whole darn thing. That's amazing. Huh? But yeah, let's get talking about life now, shall we? So, as of this recording, I say recording, I'm live, but hopefully when I post this VOD to YouTube, you'll see. Today is August 13, 2021. We are currently 1.5 weeks away from me going over... Oh, there we go. Me going over back to university for my senior year. What am I doing in university? You may be asking, I say as I turn down the game volume a little bit. I'm doing business as my major, and also, everybody tell me if the game volume's a little too loud or not as I go on with this. I'm working at 2 more semesters before I'm completely done with schooling. Hopefully, because I should still be on track with, all my classes and such, but yeah. We're looking to just, be finishing up in those 1-2 semesters as we go onwards. The main thing about it, though, is that, of course, I will be stretching as much time as I can get out of it and everything in between, because I want to keep streaming as much as I can, enjoying the time that I can with you guys here. The fact is that I still am a student first and foremost. So as cliche as this may sound, and as stupid as it may sound, but I am going to put my schooling experience first and foremost. I'd love to just live stream, play games, and talk to you guys as much as I can, but quite frankly, with just the way that things go, I need to just focus up on my studies, because I am in no way financially stable to make streaming full-time, if I wanted to. Although I'm nowhere near dire straits, fact is, I need to secure myself, IRL. I love streaming. It's a great hobby that I've been able to just, find out and start enjoying myself and such. But the fact is that, well, it's not putting the bread on the table. And so I'm just going to have to gonna have to suck it up, know that what I'm getting into is just for the betterment of my life, and I'm just gonna have to deal with it. And hey there, Chatrod. Oh, take that hydrate, thank you very much. Now, it's not to say that, that I'm going to be 100% offline now. I still want to be streaming with you guys. or like popping in, like even on our drill or stuff. We're trying to keep up things like, well, I don't know if I'll be able to continue doing fish farm as much for the foreseeable future, considering my class schedule and such. But the main fact of the matter, when it especially comes to, is that I will be doing a lot less things online. I'll have to be, of course, focusing on my schoolwork. I'll be looking towards fixing things up in like my homework, making sure that stuff stays nice and tidy when it comes to, and just making sure I'm just caught up to date on all that stuff. But I'll probably be looking at, realistically, at most, 1 or 2 streams per week. One of them being a podcast by Proxy, and then the other one we'll just have to see as I float around. So just like, nothing's set in stone. I'm gonna have to see how my schedule is, and how well I can work around it as we go on, yeah? But until then, we're just living right now, you know? I've got actually a funny story to tell about that in just a little bit here, but let me finish like a little term and talking point that I want to go onwards with. Even though I'm gonna be away for what's going to be foreseeable the next 2 semesters year of my life, basically so, I've done so much during this summer that I am so much so proud about. I of course re-debuted, in a nutshell, with my 1-year anniversary, upgrading to this new model that everybody can appreciate. I upgraded everything in that anniversary as well when it came to my Twitch panels, my model of course, my hair colors, my overlays, everything that was in between like that or so. I've been able to make so many friends and reconnect to so many old ones again. I started up my own VTubing group, Go Force, even though that we're really nothing more than just literally guys and girls just hanging around, or as I call them, the boys, all the time, because we really just are nothing obligated more than just us being friends VTubing together. Or, not everybody's a VTuber for crying out loud, but we're just kind of chilling together, you know? But I've just been making memories with them, having myself a wonderful time with the time that I get to spend with them. I turned 21 this year. Been able to just go, like, have a good time, been drinking responsibly with, like, I had a little bit to drink earlier with my dad, but just, like, a little bit, just, like, we're kind of, like, power trying a little bit, trying out some new local brews from in the area and such. I've been able to continue onwards with like my D&D with my IRLs and such like that. Imagine being old, yeah, I'm not gonna be a cool kid anymore, fat. Been able to reconnect with a good amount more of my IRLs that I hadn't talked to ever since COVID came back on. Been working on cosplay in the meantime, got back on my 3D printing train. Just a lot of this summer, I've just been so happy about with how much I've grown, because it's like, especially so when it comes to a lot of what I've been doing. Oh, power washer. You froze on me for 2 seconds. A lot of what I've had to do, not had to, but like what I've done over this past summer has been a lot on self-growth, because it's very much so been still a very personal journey to me, and everything in between. All of what I've done has been by my own hand, and I'm very happy with, like, just, yeah, once again, the breadth of my accomplishments. A lot of people have been very receptive to, like, me and my commissions, and I would like to also keep doing them, because I feel like I could easily do them while I'm on the go, like, from class to class, for instance, if I'm not playing on my Switch. Because that's a lot less obligatory than trying to set aside 2 to 3 hours of streaming, not counting homework. Because I can at least work on commissions if I'm on campus, for instance, whereas I can't stream if I'm on campus necessarily or so. But so I feel like that'd be good, not only just to, like, yeah, getting my name as an artist out there, because I really have been trying to look at more pixel art tutorials and level up my craft, even if I do find myself very much so partial to the Fire Emblem style. But also to the fact of, it'll really help me pay the bills, since this is a secondary form of income. It literally is, yeah, it's my side gig. But we'll just have to feel out everything in time. At the very least, I'll probably still be able to, and I say probably because once again, I'll feel things out. I'll probably still be able to maintain maybe 2 to 3 days of streaming for maybe like this first week of school or so. Since, you know, it'll probably just really be, okay, we're getting the syllabus or we're just catching up on what we did the last semester or so. Well, it's gonna be a tough pill to swallow for how schooling goes, considering, you know, COVID has made it online classes for pretty much almost every single class that I've been in so far. I only had one class that I really had in person, which is my my business communication class, which is a business-oriented oral communication class. We had to do presentations or so. And although there's less than like 5 students at a time ever in that classroom, we still had the option to go in person or not. And I cannot do online learning as well as in-person learning at all. So because of that, when the professor said, hey, you have the option to come or not, I was like, hey, okay, that sounds like a lot more dubious. You have the option to come to be in person or just join the Zoom class. That's what I meant to say. But I was like, I'm jumping on that. And at least right for the days that I came, it was really like just me being the only person there. Maybe like 1 or 2 other people, which of course it felt awkward considering that, you know, since everybody else was online, that my teacher was looking at her laptop more often than not, but the fact that I still like got to talk to her, have those one-on-one questions afterwards, or just be in the classroom again throughout it all, oh, what a breath of fresh air. The fact is that is so nice, and I'm just so glad that, you know, even if it's gonna be really tough this semester, of course being my senior year, these classes are gonna be tough. It's a lot better than having to do them online, you know? But that's just my opinion. I am not an online learner at all. Excuse me. So this, you know, like slow returning back to in-person classes really helps me out. Now I do have a funny story to share about that though, about how, thank you Fat, about how I still got screwed over by that because throughout most schooling, whatever, or like high school or so, I don't know if everybody does this, but I'll just say this, assuming so. You get, like, when you're picking your classes, seniors usually get first priority in case like different classes for like different electives or so fill up and such, right? For the university I go to, we have an honors program, like how it is like advanced placement, honors programs, whatever stuff like that or so. And it let me have a scholarship that helped pay for a lot of my college bills and tuition and such like that or so. The stipulations that came with it was just simple, like I need to take an honors class each semester, or like fulfill what we called an honors contract of if you couldn't secure an honors class just due to the sections not offering it, you'd basically just do an honors contract, which is an extra project at the end of the year, and whichever it was, the class itself or the honors contract, you had to make a B+ or higher for it to count towards your honors credit, and you'd maintain your scholarship from that and such or so. For me, being a senior, it was pretty easy, just kind of like saying, okay, I know what classes I need to get, and I already found my honors class that I need, and just, you just need to take one honors class, doesn't matter what section or whatever, as long as it's one honors class, and you get the B+ with it, or if you're doing the honors contract, it can't be an entry-level class, so it's like in the thousands, or like however they like divide it up. Yeah, it just can't be just kind of like fundamentals, basics of mathematics or whatever. Otherwise, you'd be good. So I signed up for my honors class. It was to be a 940 to start. And I signed this back when I talked to my advisor back in like early May, late April, early May. Then I got an email 3 days ago, and I put it on Twitter, so if I had an editor on this YouTube VOD, I'd definitely ask them to put it up right now. I got an email just a little bit ago, less than 3 days ago, saying that due to circumstances, one of my classes had to change, and it changed from a 9:40 to an 8 a.m. And I am not the strongest girl when it comes to being able to maintain a good sleep schedule, because I'm always like working myself to death, just about. or doing other things. That's just like, yeah, takes up my time and such. And I'll tell you this, seeing that just sent my heart, because checking up on my online school website, I was like, is there any way for me to possibly change this? Is there any other honor sections open? No. Nothing open. The only ones that were open were like 5:30 to 8 p.m. of a regular section, meaning I'd have to do an honors contract, which is like, okay, but it's on a Tuesday and Thursday, meaning that I'd have to basically say, I have to quit my job, because that's right in the middle of my job hours. It's like, nope, I need that money to survive, so that's just gotta be a straight no to me. I'm gonna have to suck at this 8 o'clock. Because like, people, like, some people would say, it's like, yeah, 8 o'clock's easy. I wake up early enough all the time for that stuff or so. I am not those people. I tried an 8 o'clock once in sophomore year, and it really did not work out for me, so that is not for me. So for my Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I am going to be waking up as soon as, like 5:30, believe for, to I'd be waking up, or even as soon as 6:30 to get to campus, and then arriving in the class, or getting to the classroom around that 8 o'clock mark, of course. And it's just, oh, it kills the mood, dude. Like, gosh darn it, man. Gosh darn it, you know? It's just really like, why? On my senior year, when I had first dibs on the class, and they just say, no thank you, Cruzy. How about you do this? You get fucked. I mean, still, at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to suck it up. What more can I say? But, man, really, what more can I do, dude, you know? But, I'll have to suck it up and do what I can. If it means really resetting my sleep schedule and trying to be the best student that I can be, I mean, hey, that's gonna be the price to pay, because it's 1 more year, then I'll be out of college, and although, yeah, I'll be transitioning to big boy job, not just part-time anymore, but hopefully looking for that full-time with my degree and such, then it'll really come to that bigger fault of just saying, okay now, you're going to have to, like, saying then, okay, you are going to have to do X or Y with your time, and yeah, I'll figure that down the line, but for now, this is the 1 year that I'm concerned about, and it is all about if I can wake up, because once again, 8 a.m., yeah, I am not that type of student. I tried it once, it didn't go well at all. So I'm just not gonna try that again. Alright, I would have liked not to try it again, but life threw me that screwball, so, what more can I say now, you know? But, we'll get through it. Now, at respectful when it comes to these stream plans or so, once again, if I'm going down to about 2 days a week or so, 1 or 2 days a week, so I can focus up more on my schooling, of course, at the very least, I want to still keep doing my podcast by Proxies here. Because I feel like this is the best way I can really express myself out to you guys, my audience, since, yeah, I say podcasts by Proxy, but not only is that just branding or so, but especially so, I'm the one that dictates everything that says and goes down. I get to choose what I want to talk about, how I want to talk about it, what game I have in the background while I talk about it and such, you know? It's my own pacing of a show, of what I want to do. And although I'm gonna have to cut out a few, a good amount of my other programming, like probably Fish Farm, I won't be able to do since I'm on campus all the time or so. And unfortunately, so I'm gonna have to probably cast my ballot to Guppy about that. I say cast my ballot, more like hand in my informal resignation of, Omega lol, we keep doing Mondays, I'm gonna be dead all the time. My diamond grind sessions for like Knockout City or Apex Legends, unless I'm doing Gorilla streams and have the time, those are gonna be way out of the way and everything in between. I'm just gonna have to make a lot of time for school, because depending on night, of course, it can fluctuate, but the fact is that school is school. I'm gonna have to deal with, what's on the syllabus until I'm done with that class, and so. which won't be for until December, since we are looking back to that regular school schedule and not condensed, thank goodness for COVID. But I just really hope that everybody is able to stick through with me, because I know that, at least this gets echoed all the time in Gale Force, which once again, if people don't know, this is, Gale Force is my own informal, formal VTubing group of me, Flang, Aries, Shadow, Kaito, and then we also have Fairly, and we have Z for whenever she decides to formally debut or so, but she's still in the works. And it's sort of just us hanging out as friends and such here, or so, but all the time whenever we're playing games and talking about VTubing stuff, they always refer to me about how I'm so big, or so. But I still very much so am a small fish, like a big fish in a small pond. And hitting my 1-year anniversary, of course, back in June, it really was a high point for me, but at the same time, I still gotta remember, it's like, hey look, I want to keep growing over my time while I'm in uni and such like that, but the growth will have to slowly come, and especially since I have been making this, since my whole point so far here has been, I'm going to be dedicating my time over towards uni, rather than streaming, for like 99% of my work or so. That's just, hey, that literally is just the bottom line. My university work is going to come first before anything else, and nothing's really gonna stop that at all, unless I get really just in a fun to be like, screw school, I'm streaming. That put me in a bad student basket, and at the same time, it's also gonna be like, hey, I need to focus back up on my priorities here. Game nights in Discord for the rank grind, we'll see what I can do. Once again, since I'm gonna be on campus a lot more, we'll have to see what I can do. I guess I could do rank grind on Pokemon Unite, since on-campus Wi-Fi is a thing, and those games are only 10 minutes apiece, you know, nothing more, nothing less. We'll have to see how it goes. Welcome, Fox. I'm just going on and on about my current topic of just, yeah, looking towards university and how it's really gonna be splitting my time. But, especially so, I'm just going, alright, once again, priorities as a student, lie first. As much as I'd love to keep growing, I am still that big fish in the small pond when it comes to me and my friends that I have. At least my Gale Force friends. If I'm comparing myself to like Guppy or Curious or Lumi or so, no, they are way bigger than me. And do I envy them? Of course I do. But but they grew because of what they've done. Lumi is constantly streaming almost every day that I always see her, so Curious, jokingly or not, has figured out the Twitter algorithm. Guppy has lots of friends in high places and a lot of just other, has been always on that grind as well. And I'll use like one good example as well, like Sugoi. Gods, I love her. First VTuber I ever watched or so. She's averaging triple digits. Like Lumi, she's been averaging triple digits a little bit more now, but like Sugoi has always been like 300 and above or so. And I love her so much because she's like watching her when she still had her 3D model and when she was like still doing her 3D model commissions and such like that, or actually even like still making the assets for her streams and such or so. Like she's put in so much job starting work, and considering that she started on VR chat with like making these models and such or so, I only have the highest support for her with just how much of a grind that she's put in. But that's the thing too. For some people, you may get super lucky with like, yeah, having that burst of popularity from like a single meme or a tweet or so, or having good connections or anything in between, figuring out the Twitter algorithm, or just like anything else in between, a combination or just blind luck that got you in. But with how saturated the VTubing market is, because there's still hundreds and thousands popping up more by the day, standing out is one thing, but also putting in that grind is a constant another one. And it sucks for me because of course I don't expect to blow up anytime soon. The last time that I really blew up was maybe like 10 or so followers when I reopened my commissions and had like had to set up my waitlist and whatever for it. That was it for my art and not for my streaming, which I feel like was kind of both like a positive and a negative in my eyes, as it was like, alright, people like my art, but it's like, am I just gonna be an art account now? People enjoy my art more than they enjoy the personality and the person making the art and such? But that's aside from the point here. What I'm trying to say as the real crux of my point, all in all, is that, especially when it comes to many people that just like, yeah, don't wind up lucky, don't have the same like big connections to bigger names, don't have the money or the time for resources and such like that. It's just putting in the grind. I echo it all the time when I talk to some of my other smaller VTubing friends or so, but like, Proxy Joel, Porcelain Maid. She's been going on for what, 3-4 years now? And yeah, he is one of the bigger names in VTubing, but he's been always constantly working his butt off for that stuff. Sigoi did V-Roid modeling and such in VR chat for, I think she said, like 5 years or so, and she still has to like keep her big full-time job and everything in between, just because, you know, like streaming, although she has been taking off, it's, you know, it's not going to be a stable career path or so. And many other people have had like their hands around the block and back with like when it comes to these different things and such. When it comes to entertainment, streaming, content creating, and everything of that sort. But the fact is that all of them have put in that constant grind and have always been working away at their craft, at their streams, at their videos, at their art, at their editing, producing, whatever it is. Or just putting in that time. Because all of them have put in numerous amounts of work, effort, time into all that they do or so. It's not just because they have a cute model or the fact that they have money to their name, because I can see like millions of others of like Iron Vertex babies and such or so. For instance, I'm just gonna put this argument out here, but not every one of them is going to be, what's his face? Is going to be as popular as the last, just because they have the Iron Vertex name. Like, backing them up or so. They still, like, have to, like, put it out there of, like, why, like, okay, what makes me want to support you? Because there's especially so a bigger difference between getting lucky in one sense, or like having the resources in one sense, and actually like deserving it, if that makes sense or so. So like you can come by and like enjoy like a cute model or like a game on stream or so. That's one thing. But then it comes to a bigger fault when it comes to, hey, what keeps somebody coming back to your stream, you know? It's the person. Because I use like one good instance or so of like Shroud, for instance. Old, famous, I say old, but like, yeah, he's like a household name for like, yeah, the old age of CSGO. Played for Cloud9 back at their CSGO prime and such. Now a very big FPS streamer, but he swaps around between lots and lots of games. Yeah, he's been doing Valorant watch parties with like the VCT and such or so, but he also plays Warzone, Apex Legends at times, switches around, always back to like CSGO with like the old guys or so. He has been playing Valorant mostly, but like no matter like whatever he may be doing or so, people come back to him and watch him and such for what he is. Like when he got that deal to go to like Mitzer for like a good while or so before coming back or so, he still retained the core audience when he came back, not only because he's a big name, but because he's a personality that people can get behind and support or so. Because he was gone from Twitch for like a good amount of time because of like, yeah, his Mitzer deal, I believe. And yet when he came back, it was like to really so thunderous applause. I remember seeing many websites that were talking about like Shroud coming back, like to be like one of like still constantly and is constantly so one of the bigger names on Twitch and such when it comes to this these points that I'm making here, because of yeah his personality, just like how he plays, his gameplay and such. That's what kept people coming back to him, and at least like for me, I would say at least like for me, I feel like I could keep my energy up or so. And I'm not afraid to, like, yeah, keep grinding away for hours on end and such. Or just being able to keep up a conversation. So, like, if I'm gonna consider, like, hey, what are my strong points, Cruzy? I guess I'd say so on that side, because at least like, when I'm talking to like, yeah, some of my Gale Force buddies and friends, a lot of them hark on that fact of like me being able to keep up conversations like these, like, yeah, like an old podcast style, and not leave white noise. Well, that's more of like me imprinting off of like one of my other favorite content creators, like Northern Lion, for instance. And I'll segue into this little point here. Northern Lion, if people don't know, he is a Canadian streamer, most famous for his hundreds of thousands of Binding of Isaac videos. He's like one of the oldest like Binding of Isaac YouTubers, you could say, and he does his own like Twitch streams or so, called the Northern Lion Super Show, which I love watching. So, but I also I will honestly say I do imprint a lot of what I do off of his super shows, because it really is, yeah, if you want to say, kind of like almost, yeah, talking is the forefront of like him talking with like his 4 or 5 friends that he brings on as guests as part of the show. So, gameplay is usually in the background, and yeah, it exists. Yeah, it's not like we're not going to talk about what's going on in the game, but usually it's stuff like Golf It, or maybe just like even like a few chat boxes or other things like that, or so that he's always playing in the background. And not everybody has to be playing the same game to participate in the conversation. The fact that like, yeah, you're talking, you're putting your input into the conversation and everything in between was all part of the charm about it. And that's like watching so much content from him made me kind of imprint on that with the style of how I like to do my my podcast by Proxy streams. Of course, Power Washing Simulator is a much, much calmer game than, like, let's say if I was playing Apex Legends during this year or so, because I have to be, like, moving on a dime, concentrating on my decisions, and a lot of the time in my normal streams, I also just say, I'm gonna shut up for 2 seconds and I need to concentrate on, like, Apex Legends, or, like, my current firefight, and whatever such like that, or so. But when it comes to these chiller streams, especially so, it's where I can take it at my own pace, I do definitely so enjoy, yeah, this little luxury that I have here of just taking it exactly at the pace that I want to set. And that's just kind of what the cadenza that he's always had, the cadence. I said cadenza, that's the cadence he's always had, raw music term. The fact of the matter is that even though he's played hundreds of thousands of Isaac content or so, people don't get bored of him, because not only is like, yeah, he may have like interesting gameplay on an episode or two, I'm not gonna deny that. The fact is that he always has many anecdotes that he always talks about, or memories or experiences that really like drive the audience that he caters to in, just always wanting to listen to his stories and such like that. And I say that being one part of his audience as well. I love, yeah, just listening to his stories about what he did today, or his thoughts and opinions on something or so. And at least, like, when it comes to, this is just a me thing now, so this is, yeah, a little bit more, I guess you'd say fringe, but I don't like usually having dead noise at all when it comes to streaming. Now, it's not necessarily saying you're a good streamer for always talking. It's the same as like saying you're talking too much, you're detracting from like the gameplay and such or so, etc, etc. On that end can definitely make sense. But especially when it comes to what's his face, right? Yeah, his Northern Lion Super shows and such like that or so. He always like is able to keep like a good conversation going for like either his co-hosts, for instance, to be able to like put in their own input and words and opinions and such. But also, yeah, keeping the audience retention. That way you can always continue to interact with chat, stay active, up to date on like what they're saying and such. And it's just like that rhythm that he has with how he conducts his streams. That's what I really, once again, take out of as kind of like food for thought, food for growth, and try to better myself on and with. Because that is especially, like, he has always been and will continue to be one of my favorite live streamers and content creators for just, yeah, how he conducts himself on broadcast, how he keeps the conversation flowing, and especially so, it's a good difference between just filling the time with, like, randomly saying things or so, and being able to keep up full conversations, even if it's just between yourself and such, yeah? And I'll take that hydrate, thank you very real quick. I spilled water on myself! Huh? Bah! I say as I'm wasting water. Both in-game and not in-game. But yeah, just... that's just like what I really enjoy with them. And especially so, yeah, he has a series on it. So like, with Binding of Isaac Repentance out, yeah, a lot of his, like, his YouTube VODs and of course like, his Twitch streams really focused in on looking at all the new content and whatever. But the nice thing about it, especially so like when it comes to like podcasts or like his streams for instance or so, is that you don't need to be 100% caught up with what happened in the last episode. Every single stream, of course, every single of his videos are independent from each other. So even if people like didn't watch like the last 21 podcasts by Proxies that I've done before or so, that's not a problem. You can just tune in to whichever one, if it fancies or piques your interest, and yeah, just continue watching on from there. Because every stream has its own topic segmented off. It's a new stream, you just only have to worry about that itself, or listen to that itself. And it's just so nice in that regard, very much so. I just wish that I had more time to be able to devote myself to like watching other people streaming or so. Or being able to like set up collabs for my streams, because besides like Gale Force or so, I really haven't had an out of Gale Force collab in maybe like a good while now. And it's just really sucks because, yeah, with a week and a half away left for me before I go back to uni, it's really just not feeling the best. Because I wish I could like, yeah, maybe I have like a just chatting stream with Lumi, because I love her to bits. And I also would like to use my 3D model more. I'm just echoing this because I said this in a tweet to her. Not a tweet, not a DM to her. We were talking a little bit after her stream herself. For instance, I want to maybe participate in, yeah, like some like the fighting game tournaments, like Chick or Serena or anybody else in the VFGC are setting up or so, but I don't have the time. And seeing how I'm going back to school in that 1.5 week, not everybody is or has the same school schedule on their heads, so I'm gonna be, I wouldn't say falling behind, but you know, like on a different wavelength than everybody else. And especially so, I will be a lot less active when it comes to that as well. And it puts, you know, like that much of a wrench in your heart, knowing that, like, hey, I want to be able to do X or Y with my friends or so, but it's just so much harder to plan around when you have school, work, either part-time or full-time, homework, everything in between, not to mention, like, with many of the dorms being shoved off, like, travel situation, because you can't just walk up 2 floors up and just say, hey, I'm here, and I brought board games with me, what do you want to play first and foremost, you know? It's all about us figuring out what's the best route to drive now, what's the best times, how long can we actually stay if we go Uber, and adulting. Adulting is just darn hard, dude, and I don't envy anybody who wants to put themselves through it, because as much as I want to get out of school, I dread it. I say as I'm yawning, I dread it for the fact of I'm gonna miss so much time with, of course, my friends. But it's just part of life, of course. And I'm just gonna have to sit through it, get through it, and work it through and everything in between, you know? Because it's just frustrating. I wish I had more time to make for my friends and everything in between, but the fact is that it'll be a year apart or so. And I say or so because even with, yeah, me going back to school for a whole darn year, 2 semesters worth of a year, that's what I'm gonna call it, of a school year. Okay, we'll just keep it as simple as that. No semantics about it. It still is a year where a lot of things can happen. Talking to Lumi about it again when we were chatting in DMs, right, the fact of, like, we don't get to interact with each other much besides when we pop into each of others of our streams or so, as much as we used to, back when we played, like, Apex Legends, because, like, Lumi was talking about that, I remember before, which got a really big grin out of my face. So that was one of, like, the first things we did on stream together. Our first one was, like, yeah, outfit swapping. I remember all the way back then. But the fact is like, people can change or be changed in that 1 year experience and span so darn quickly or so. I know a few of my friends who would die to like have maybe like a day or two back because of just like, you know, they didn't get to spend with a loved one who wasn't feeling the best or so, or people who just want like do-overs on, yeah, on those days. And fact is that, look, we're just gonna have to sit through all the much and everything in between. And considering coronavirus, it has been a mucky year. But we're just gonna have to do the best that we can with our decisions and what's kind of led up to it or so. You know? I feel my eyes kind of drifting off. As I'm yawning, I feel like wanting to go to sleep myself, but I'm here for a stream. And if I have to get up and stream, and just, yeah, stand up or kneel at my desk while I stream, then so be it, and just a little bit here. Because there is a lot I do want to talk about. Quite frankly, I do think I really enjoy my podcast by Proxy some of the most out of any and all of my content that I made. Except for the fact that no matter how much water I sip afterwards, I am completely drained in my throat, you know? But anyway. I just want to be able to utilize the time that I can to the best of my ability. 1.5 weeks isn't enough time for anybody to really be able to coherently prepare anything or so. But especially when it comes to, like, okay, let's talk realistic, like, from my own Steam plans and such like that or so. Before I do go back to school, I was thinking about having next Saturday unarchived karaoke as kind of like my own final send-off to myself, you know? To where, yeah, I'm not going to be fully dead. I still want to possibly stream once or twice a week during the school year, if possible. If not, you know, I'm just going to have to set up the fact, like, okay, no streams or so. That's just how, the way that the cookie will crumble. But I want to make, yeah, these last little bits as memorable as I can, while I still am on my summer break, quote unquote. Because, especially so, I feel like that'd be, like, an encapsulation of, like, a good amount of my career, considering how, what's his face? One of my first alt outfits was an idol outfit, specifically requested by me from my, like, from Mama. How I want to be able to, yeah, really go out and do that. And I'm thinking about bringing back the old school cruisy redeems, where you can redeem me in my old outfits. My old one, my old casual, even my idol outfit, if it fits well enough, as a redeem, just trying to send off the year then and there as well. But we'll have to see how I'm really feeling about it at the end of the days. I still have 1.5 weeks, and although that really isn't that much when we really are comparing it time-wise or so, fact is that it still is very much so something, you know? And I'm going to make those 2 weeks, well, 1.5 weeks work for me, to the best of my ability. Ah, shoot, my phone! Sorry about that, everybody. Yes, it'll be a lot harder to do a lot of things with, like, me working towards my school schedule or sweeping in a lot more to reset my my sweeping schedule. I say stream schedule. My sweeping schedule and everything in between. But the fact of the matter is, I need to just do what I need to do in my life. Yes, I talked a good amount before earlier in this podcast about how, hey, take things at your own pace or so. Like, nobody needs to rush your life but you. You're in control of your own decisions. Or, like, yeah, just take care first and foremost. But at the same time, especially so, coming to a fault in all of this, it's just, like, it's the difference between knowing that, like, your time's up and not doing anything, and wanting to continue to work as much as you can. Yes, I know that I have I keep saying 2 when I have probably a week and a half left before I do go back to school. But I still want to make it as memorable as I can be when it comes to working with my fellow mates in Gale Force, or collabing with somebody else that isn't part of that core group, or just, yeah, being able to constantly put out content in one way or another, either on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, anything more, such like that or so, yeah? It's just all going to be about making the most use out of my time as I possibly can. And although it will be hard to be able to really keep up with and so, fact is that I have all my friends backing me up and supporting me, even though I know for a fact that this is not going to be the best game or like stream or time by a long shot. Fact is that I'm just doing what I can in the meantime or so, and they are here to support me. Yeah, I may blow up sometime, but until like sometime in the future, but until then, like, hey look dude, no, I say until then, right, it's a bad thing, but I'll always take more food or drink with my, okay, that was gonna be a bad analogy. I'm always gonna take a little bit more to go with my food and drink, if that made sense or so. I'll always be looking for that little bit of extra that I can really have, whether it be my friends joining me, or that extra love and support that I get from, like, you guys being here. Bray, Fat, Fox if you're still around, Kakarot, or so. I'm just powering through what I can, and when time comes around for me to just start, yeah, throw in that towel and just say I did what I could for the summer, yeah, I'll throw my towel in for the summer. But until then, this content, I will just keep working, keep hammering away, and just keep doing my absolute best in. And I cannot get on the fire auto like that. This sucks. Oh wait, no, I just had to jump over the ledge. Ah, shoot, I did jump. Hold on. I'm really feeling sleepy and yawning a lot more than I really mean to. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, this is getting annoying. I'll come back to you. Wait, I could just jump on this roof over here. Bruh moment. I could have just jumped on this roof. Yeah, just... I'm gonna make the most of my time that I can. While I have it. The grind is there. My friends are here for me though too. And we'll just do anything and everything that we can, yeah? It's at the end of the day, we're only human. The person behind the screen, you're human. Nothing should get in the way of that. Nothing should be forgotten about that. And only one person each. Yeah, we may be able to call upon our friends to help us out. And so with different things. But also, at the end of the day, you can't do everything for crying out loud. You can only just do your gosh darn best. Although I am feeling tired, fatigued, and not necessarily wanting to go on for too long tonight, I recognize that, hey look, my last two streams were quite badly stuffed and everything in between. I'm just gonna do the best that I can, because why? Because I'm only human. Yeah, those things will get me down on day-to-day stuff and whatever, of course. But also, fact is, what more could I do? I gave it my best shot. Fortunately, my internet just didn't want to cooperate with me on both those days. And that's sort of the long and the short of it. I did the best that I could. Because, I'll say this, I see a lot of people always constantly beating themselves up. I'm just gonna put her name out there, flying you included, about not being good enough, or not getting the reception that you want or so. But the fact is that everything will take time, and you're just doing all that you can. Yeah, you may not get, like, what you want on your first try or so, but it really shows, like, your character when it comes to continuing on, or just, like, yeah, giving out flatly and everything in between like that. Because Flame, she's been working towards getting a new house recently, but she's going through a lot of other personal problems. I don't want to get in depth about here, because I don't feel like it's my place necessarily to talk about it. But it's been very, very mixed bad with how everything has been going on for her, you know? I just only want the best, because she's always asking, like, what did I do to deserve this? Or, like, why does life hate me so much? And I wish I could answer those questions, but at the end of the day, again, she's just human. She's one person. And she's just doing her best. Always, and constantly so. And nobody can change that about her. It's just that she doesn't see you know, like, all the good work that she's doing constantly. She only just sees, hey, look at where, like, my last action failed me or led me to a bad road or so. She always tells herself those with her self-doubts, but self-doubts with her self-doubts. But the fact is, at the end of the day, I just want her to be able to look at herself and say, "You are happy," you know? Not okay. That's a lot easier than just that, but like, you are given the best opportunity, and guess what? You didn't squander it. You just gave it your best shot, and it didn't work out. You know? That's all that it really needs to come out to be. I just hope that she knows that, because I know she's sleeping right now. But it's just a lesson that, like, she just feels like she doesn't want to learn at all. It's frustrating. So, I want to help her out more, but especially, like, with where she is, and I keep saying especially, it's just hard. Housing situation's a problem, still waiting on news from uni, still needs a job for her to go stable, etc, etc, etc. And it's just, yeah. But we're getting through it to the best of our ability as we can with her. And whatever may come, whatever may be, she has a lot of people who, although she considers herself very much so small, or like in the community and such, the fact that she got like so many people willing to already like basically lay down their lives to say, hey, you have a housing problem, you can't pay rent, I got you, fam, how much do you need? And I'm saying that not just facetiously, but also just kind of like grinning, because I was one of the people that was like, okay, friend, look, here's my paycheck, here's what I can do to try to help you out, sweetie. I don't want anything from this, I just want you to be able to succeed. And I'd gladly do it again and again for her, but she's got her life back on track, and she's been trying her best to continue on with everything that life does, continue to swap out her way and such, you know? It's just frustrating to see her always in that manic state of everything is not good, and things have not been good for the past days for her now, but what can we do? Just give her that support. Do all that we can, yeah? I will say I am feeling the urge to use the restroom, so I'm thinking after I do this wall, I'll go ahead and be like that then, yeah? Alright. I think we will... Yeah, we'll just swap on that then once I finish up the wall right over here. Good stuff. Check this out. I wish I could go inside the fire station here too, so I feel like that'd be fun to clean as well. I also feel like that'd just be an absolute nightmare, I think. You know? Unless this is like a two-parter and I have to go inside later, which I think would be fun. But also kind of like thematically, like, how the heck did you let things go this far, dude? Ish. Alright. Come here. Come on, water. You stupid water. I'm not tall enough for the ladder. Huh? Alright, what is the orange? This stuff is right here. And I'll go ahead and inspect the other sides of the garage real quick. Make sure everything is in tip-top shape. Alright, not too bad. Well, in that case then, give me 1 second here, everybody. I'm just gonna use the restroom, wash up, and hopefully I'll be a little bit more active for us when I come back. So, just 1 moment here, all. back, everybody. Oh, power wash. Come on. There you go. Hopefully, it wasn't too long now. I just had to wash up a little bit because I felt myself kind of like drifting with every successive yawn that I was doing. I was kind of like, okay, Cruzy, I don't want to turn this little podcast stream into a ramble now, do I? So I got up, washed up, got myself some Mentos, Fruity Mentos, of course. Mint's not bad, but Fruity Mentos is where it's at, to keep chewing on while I'm working here. And I wanted to just, like, this will probably be a shorter stream, of course, with my energy levels right now, but we'll see how things keep going on. But, especially so when it comes to giving support to whoever I can. Especially so, I want to, given that time, support, love, everything in between, I want to single out a good amount of my time and love for what I have to my friends constantly. And I don't just mean Gale Force, but to, like, yeah, the people that I meet along the way. Because the fact is that as I'm going to transition back from being primarily online to being primarily offline when it comes to, you know, like my schooling stuff and everything in between, I have my IRLs to thank as well for getting me back on track with everything and that sort. But when it comes to, you know, like the limited time that I have, here's the thing that I always echo when it comes to, like, my friends, like, apologizing for, like, being late to, like, collabs, or not being able to make it to, like, playing a game or something, even though they said that they were gonna be free that later on tonight or so, you know? Here's the thing that I always preach to them. Especially with me, you know, I've said this especially to my D&D group, with us going back into school, because almost all of us go to the same school. One of them is actually going to transfer to our university this coming year. Alright, this coming spring semester. They couldn't get fall semester, unfortunately. Fact is that we, although we are, at least for my friends and I, you know, like, we're young adults, but still adults in our own rights. With how busy we ourselves are, the fact that we can all of us, at least in my D&D group, that is 6 players and a DM, which is me, so 7 of us can constantly put aside everything that's been going on, carve out some time out of our busy schedules and days to get together for maybe like a good 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. I was just making musical, or just a counting off music joke. Whatever, in general. Okay, that drained it flat. Anyway, back to the point. The fact that we can all carve out, you know, like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of one day, no matter how busy we are, to spend together playing games, watching a movie, or just hanging out and such like that, because we can. That is one of the most, like, precious things, because you didn't have to make time. You really couldn't could have and just said, like, no, I'm busy, or I don't feel like going out today, or so. But the fact is that when it comes to your friends, you put up with them. Yeah, they may have their bad things saddled in with their good things, but you put up with them because you want to, because you can, because you consider them what? A friend that you can, yeah, deal with and such. When it comes to making time for them, like in collabs or so, you'll put up with, like, whatever time zone differences, scheduling, or, like, whatever they, like, might want to do content-wise or so. Why? Because they're your friends. And you'll do that for your friends and such. And whatever, you know? And I feel like, at least like with how we are online, you know, being content creators, parasocial relationships exist, and I don't, as much as it is just a terrible topic to always have to, I don't want to say a terrible topic, just kind of like a topic of just like, why does this need to be touched on more than it already does? Of like, respect and like, this definition of friendships can be stretched very badly, far and in between, when it comes to streamers, because it's like, hey, somebody can't just waltz into your chat, say hi, and be like, I'm their friend, so they deserve, like, me to give, like, their attention or their time or anything in between. How did I pick up the ladder? Oh, I fat-fingered picking up the ladder. Put it down. But yeah, it doesn't demand your attention. Like, just because you interact with somebody once on Twitter, Twitch or so, doesn't mean that you're immediately their friend or so. But and once again, especially with stalkers, harassers, trolls, parasocial relationships, and everything in between on the internet or so, it's very hard to be able to find the people that you can consider your safe crowd to be able to stick with, chill with, and be able to to once again say, hey, these are the people I'm safe with, that I'm chill with, that I'm able to call my friends, and everything in between and such like that or so, you know? And especially when it comes to making those friends, because it's okay, I'm gonna talk about this. VTubing drama. The fact that I hear something about it every day. And I'm not gonna point out any particular drama, and not for the reason of I don't want to talk about it because it associated me or whatever. But quite literally, there's so much all the darn time, and I don't even know what's going on half the time, because I'm just I don't want any part with the drama, and gladly so that I'm always on the outside looking in. I've only had one case where I've known some people who were associated or had or victims of a drama or so, but that's really the most that I've really had when it comes to dealing with VTuber drama on my side. And all the time it's always groups when it comes down to groups or friends and such like that. Things always come crumbling down when it comes to hey, I thought that they were my friend, but really they were using me, abusing me, my trust and so. And it's always just unfortunate to see that, especially we're all content creators in the VTubing sphere, but the fact that it gets so stretched far with how much trust has definitely degraded among people, it's just always so sad to see. Because yeah, there's gonna be people that will use you. There's gonna be people that want to reach off of your success or your name, or prop themselves up while putting you down. But the fact that that's whenever I hear about VTubing groups or so, it's not just it's not just the big names V-Shoujo, Niji Sanji, such. It's more of just the most that I hear from these groups all the time is just X or Y group is dissolving because of drama. Hey there, Umbar. I'm just talking about, I was going on, this is my podcast by Proxy, so, yeah, my talk show streams more to where I'm just mostly focusing on my topics more than anything else. And I was talking about making time for friends, but I wanted to go on to, a little, making time for friends about how, hey, you'll do things because they're your friends or so. But I want to get on to a little, side tangent in a way of just, it's the fact that it has been 0 days without VTuber drama. Yeah, that's a meme, but it's a sad reality of a meme of the fact of, thank goodness I'm on the outside looking in for 99.9% of the drama that I always hear or see going on. The fact that, it's literally considered, almost so normal for, if I hear, oh, what's this VTuber group that I've never heard of about or so? And then it's because they're dissolving because of, some drama due to X or Y being a bad person, or lack of faith or trust or stuff like that or so. It's just always so sad because, at least for me, I'm blessed to have the friends that I have. Both, Gale Force, my IRLs, or just anybody else that I've collabed with, talked to, or anything in between on Twitter, Twitch, Discord, or more. Of the fact of what I will gladly stick my neck and leg and everything else out for my friends that I have, because I trust them. We're just here not to boost each other in terms of followers or view counts, although you can't deny that that's a byproduct of it all. But we're here because we want to prop each other up, because we enjoy each other's company and such like that or so too. You can't deny that. And the fact that whenever I hear like things about VTuber groups or friends, lots of times when it just devolves into straight drama, it's always saddening because like, for the friends that I do have, especially so, once again, I use like my Deal Force core group. The people that we have here, Lang, who I've been dating for 5 months now. Shadow, who has been one of my first friends ever in the VTuber sphere that I met off an offshoot of Guppy. Chaito, who I met off of my sister Serena, who we've talked on and off for a good amount of time before really committing to like a good friendship together, thanks to, yeah, just hanging out in closer proximity more and everything in between. What's his face? And then Eri, who is Shadow's significant other. The fact is, like, we all came together, not for, like, we came together as Deal Force because of just quite literally so, hey, a joke of Kaito and I, we first met when we joined my sister Serena in a open lobby Smash Brothers Ultimate or so with her. And that was real fun times and everything in between. And then, yeah, we just continued trying to talk, going onwards from there. And our friendship just kind of evolved as we went on those lines and everything in between. Gale Force has really started as a reference and as a joke of, hey, because we're both fighting game players, we're waiting to be sponsored by Red Bull, so why don't we sponsor ourselves? And then we just made Gale Force. And the fact is, like, that's just all that we are. We are just a group of friends that just want to hang out, vibe, and be with each other. We're probably not going to accept applications at all in the future. Okay, I say at all. We're probably definitely not going to accept applications anytime because we're just all growing and we're all going through a lot of our own things right now. Fact is that we trust each other as friends all the time. We're hanging out. We understand that if there's like something wrong that's like you can't make it to like a hangout session or so, that is 100% fine. You're doing what you can. And if there's like IRL stuff you need to take care of, you take care of that, etc. Stuff like that and everything in between. And it's just that trust or so. We know that, we're not here to boost each other numbers-wise or to take advantage of each other. And I guess that also kind of helps, seeing as how the biggest person is me, and I don't even have 100k or anything more on Twitter, which, basically, I'm still baby VTuber. Yeah, but, the thing is that, we have this trust with each other, and we've bought each other so many things, whether it comes to, games, steps, artwork, anything of that sort or so. We trust each other on that, and we'll always stick our necks and heads out for each other for it. And especially so when it comes to, we are just here, no matter what may happen. I'll use, a good example of, Z, who's going to become our 7th member of Gale Force, has been Flying and I, we've known Z for the longest of time, for, almost ever. They're an old friend that have come into VTubing or so, just recently, and so we kind of, pulled them in. So, hey, look, they are our friend, and we want to share and revel in that and everything in between. What am I being talked about? I'm just talking about just, valuing our time with our friends and making the most of it, especially with, me coming back to school, Z. No, you're fine, I was just going on about how you're an old friend of Flying and I's, and we're just happy to have you, since you finally decided to jump down the VTuber rabbit hole with us, And you already made it in my eyes? Well, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and fact is, look, as much as I'd love to make VTubing full-time for me, I've still got a long way to grow before I'm considered a big name at all. But do I consider that a bad thing? No, definitely not, Umbar. It's just, I'm going to get around to it in time. I'm going to grow in time, and yeah, all of my growth will come naturally in time. It's just that I still am, pretty much so, that big fish in the little pond, compared to many of my other friends at the moment. Alright, yeah, just the drill tower left. Let's go. And so, I just want to be able to put it out there of look. Okay, let's talk about the friends angle first and foremost. My growth, that'll come with time, especially so, but with my time being limited due to school, the fact that like I'll gladly like, you know what, friends and everything in between, they are fleeting or so, and I talked about this to Lumi earlier as well. But we'll we'll get to it with patience, or with patience and just putting in that grind. Yeah, exactly so, Z. The main point that I was going on about before you came in, Z, was as friends, you're going to stick your neck out for your friends. You're going to do what you can for your friends. If they're in dire straits, you help them out. If they want to spend time with you, you're going to, you're going to find ways in your schedule and your time or whatever to spend your time with them and such, yeah? And especially so, the fact, it's just sad that many friends always seem to devolve in the VTubing sphere thanks to drama. Anytime I hear about VTubing groups, I'm just echoing the points I said earlier for you, Z. Anytime I hear about VTubing groups that aren't just How Alive Nijisanji v Shoujo, it's also dissolving of groups thanks to drama of one member, or other controversies and everything in between. And it's just always sad to see it's people are getting together with groups or so for all the wrong reasons of just using each other. Because especially when it comes to, we're all just trying to get by, and at least for the friends that I have made on my journey, I'm just glad that we're all, that I've found a good crowd that I've been able to stick with, and been able to continue branching off, because I wouldn't have met half the people that I know today if not for continuing to stick by those friends that I cherish very much, love, and so. But I would honestly die for any of my friends at Gale Force, because we are all here for each other, just trying to get by as much as we can. And I'll do as much as I can for them. I cannot tell you how many times I've bought Orange Juice DLC or been alright, Gale Force informal initiation. You're playing Tower Unite right now. But it's the fact is I'll do so much for my friends, and I don't want anything back for them. Because that's just I just want to be able to spend my time with them. If that makes sense, as ludicrous as it sounds. I am nowhere near rich at all. I am very middling class, but the savings that I do have, I'll gladly spend them on my friends if I can have good times together with them as much as I can. And especially so, when it comes to what we're talking about here, Z, with drama, we're on the internet, so yeah, I may be very biased in talking about what I may be seeing with my experiences or so, of pointing out the very negatives. But the fact is that's the traction that I'm seeing all the time. And we'll see all realms of it, both the very positive sides and the very negative sides, when it comes to groups of either working out or falling apart at the seams and such that or so. And it's just always just sad to see, because it's especially so the time that you invest into getting into people, or the time that you spend, because being functional adults that me and my friends IRL are, going back to my D&D argument of the fact that we're able to pull out 3, 4, 5, 6 hours of even one day a week of all 7 of us to be able to play D&D together is already just a tough cookie to do. But we do that because that's what we want to do as friends together. Because we'll gladly say, yeah, I don't care if I have to drive out of state or so to visit you. I don't care if I have to go finagle all my way around through my schedule to find out a day that I can work with you and such. We do that because we're friends with each other. And when it comes to time, yeah, as much as I love to recharge my social batteries many days, and many others, if I can spend it, just chilling with my friends, that's a day very well spent. All the time, in either my server, in a few others, or in the Gale Force server, because I'm using Gale Force right now as my clean cut de facto example. The fact is that many times we're not playing the same games. We're just listening to music on Groovy, as we're all working on our own independent things. Is that a problem? No. We just get to spend our time together, doing what we want to do. We're just enjoying the presents, because that's what friends do. I know that I'm being very objective with everything that I'm saying here, but I'm hoping that my point comes clear to this case here. Of when it comes to your time with your friends is super irreplaceable, because you can always have times for yourself to be able to just be like, I'll self-indulge in playing like another game of League solo queue, or enjoying my time watching TV by myself. So, and that's never a problem. I'm just saying to cherish the time that you have with your friends, with your family, and everything in between, because you won't know when they'll be busy with university, or streams, or just life stuff. Or, yeah, just like anything else in between. And that time's always fleeting. So anytime that I get to spend with my friends, it's not fear of missing out, it's just that I want to make the most out of what time that I have. And if I can spend it with family, with friends, having a good time, having a laugh, doing whatever, that's a day very well spent, don't you think? Yeah, you may get, like, dodge shit done if you're just, like, laughing over and not spending time, like, working on commissions or so, but in the grand scheme of things, how much time would you say you've gotten with your friends? Like, maybe, like, in middle school or so, where, like, you can maybe visit them every day, or, like, have, like, a recess? Versus, like, maybe, like, if you're an adult now, with, like, having a full-time job, and having to do X and Y, and anything else in between. Or, like, even, like, being not in the same place, in different time zones and such. It's very much so different experiences that everybody can get. And time is a very, very valid resource that is limited for everybody. Yeah, money is like an object for like some people, but time is always going to be an object for us all. Because not everybody will have the same time, or want to spend that same time with X or Y folks. We're always doing the best that we can with the time that we have, yeah? And as for me, schooling is there, streaming is there, wanting to do things that promote my brand and such. But if I'll use like this good example here. Flying has been going through lots and lots of tough times lately. She's been having problems with like trying to get jobs, her housing situation, and she's had to deal with a very sudden loss of somebody in her family. And I will just straight up say this too, especially so. She's been suffering so much so. She's told me many times to just talk to me, or just want to just be in the presence of another loved one. And I've had many times to where, not just now, but also in the past, due to where I have delayed streams, and I have outright canceled streams, because she needs that support. Because, once again, how in the grand scheme of things comes to, I can stream anytime that I want, wherever, whenever I want. But for Flying, where she is right now, position-wise and situation-wise, she could use her friends. She could use any and all time. And we gotta stick up for each other here, all of us together. Because, here's the thing here. As VTubers, we are a community. Even if you may not like somebody or so, fact is that you will still see their face around, because they are a part of the same excuse me, community that you are in, all together and everything in between. You can't stop that. You can't force them out. They share the same interests of VTubing and streaming and content creating just as much as you. But the fact is that we shouldn't be competing for time or growth to be the fastest or the biggest growing among everybody and anything in between. As much as I'd love to have that one extra stream to possibly, boost up my average followers, average viewers, and everything such like that or so. Fact is that it's one day in the grand scheme of things, and when it comes to helping out somebody in need, a friend in need who needs some time, or just some people nearby, that is time that you cannot replace. And I'm being a little bit more melancholy and lingering on this point a lot more than my other ones, because once again, Flying just had to deal with a loss in the family, very recently so. And she has not been in the best mindset, especially with just how life has dealt her a very bad hand, consistently over and over again. So when it comes to your time that you spend with your loved ones is as invaluable as it can get. You have all of your life ahead of you. But when it comes to other people's lives, you're not going to be with them 100%. And I just want to really echo that out there, because you want your friends to have your bats, yeah? Then, like, it's just a simple step in, like, also having their bats as well. I'm just kind of choking up a little bit, because I'm trying to find the right words for it without breaking into tears a little bit, or sniffing too much. I'm really trying to hold myself back on this topic, because it is very, very somber and so, but the fact is that that's just how life is. You have all of your own life ahead of you, like, up on your silver platter all the time, yeah? But how much time will you always get to spend with your friends and such? I spent a good amount of time today. Yeah, I could have been working on stream stuff, I could have been working on, well, I'd maybe reopening commissions or other things right now. And it's not a bad thing to be doing these things or so, but I just was like, I just want to spend some time with my dad and my dog today. We watched a movie, we just chilled out. I got to comfort my big boy Eli, as in my morning tweet today when the thunderstorms came on. I got to just cuddle with my little one Claire as he just sat down on my chest as I laid down on the couch. And especially so, when it comes to time, once again, it's so gosh darn limited. All the darn time. Wow, that's redundant, ain't it, Cruzy? Just make the most of it that you can in every opportunity that you get, everybody. In every opportunity that you can and do get. Because you will never be able to get that time back. And for the time that you may have, for instance or so, not everybody will have that same time to be able to share with you and playing a game, talking on voice, FaceTiming, or anything of that sort. So really so, do what you can with the people that you have, everybody, while you have the time to do it. You don't have to be the most active with them every day, but being able to just be there for them in one way, shape, or form, sending daily love, sending a meme, just telling them that you're there for them. It matters very much so. And what are you sober in, Ombar? Because if I can't help it, hey man, we don't get to talk too much, but I'll gladly, like, help you grind out if it's a game I play. Because we're friends. That's what friends do, yeah? Lighthearted or not. And I'll move on to the next subject after I finish up wrapping up my little point here, especially so. But me going into college again, if not for COVID, I would have been back in the dorms, but instead, I've got my one more year with my parents before I possibly look to moving out with a full-time job, because I'm really trying to see if I can line up any prospects or so. But especially so, yes, they may be my parents, which means they can get on my nerves with, like, how I want to do things versus how they want things to be done around the house. That's just, you know, like, that's just kids talking to their parents. Understandably so, but I'm going to definitely still miss them once I eventually do, you know, like, bundle up, start trying to leave the nest and everything in between and such, you know? I'm trying to enjoy this 1 year that I have with them all the more. I'm spending most of my weekend nights or so. Yeah, I've had to cancel my weekend, my Saturday streams all the darn time, either due to circumstances or because, as of it is for like the past weeks, probably like the whole month of July or so, just spending that time with my family. eating out, going to the park with them, etc., etc. Just enjoying that stuff with them. Cause yeah, it's one day out of like me streaming 3 or 4 days of the week. Where I could be spending it with them, because otherwise I'm just at my computer all the time, working on my stream, or on my commissions, or other things like that, all the time. I just want to make the most of my value of the time that I can with them. So I'll always have time online with you guys here, but it's another thing to have time with them in person, you know? Okay, sorry, I didn't have my... because I just kind of like looked over, that said silver platter, not silver platter. I'm so sorry about that misunderstanding there, Ombar. But... especially so, like, when it comes to, like, that social battery. The fact is, okay, I'm gonna steal some terminology from my dad here. He has something, he like divides some friends out that he knows. So like whenever like he's talking about like some people like when it comes to like school or work friends, he has into like yeah like the friends that he wants to stick by, his true friends and such like that or so, and then what he calls fair weather friends. Fair weather as in order like the weather. They'll stick around and maybe a good time while while things are going well, but as soon as the weather turns a little stormy, as soon as like things start maybe going bad or so, they're out of there because they're only there for the good times and the fair weather, if that makes sense at all. And especially so, it just sucks to always hear that like, you know, like, you're the odd man out of a friend group or so. And I understand that very much so, Ombar, with me losing a good amount of my friends to COVID. Not just like that disconnect, but also not being able to like reach an at bat with them because I don't fit within that group anymore necessarily so. But especially like the fact is that like you're not like it's not just also getting lucky with your friends, because I'm not gonna say that I'm just happy that like the people that I have stuck with are all genuine, down to earth, and some of the nicest people I've ever met online. But also just like people who understand, like whenever things go rough, whenever things are bad, and like will help deal with like the outcome of different things or so, whatever they may be and such, you know? If that makes any sense enough. So it's a tough pill to swallow, but like not every friendship is always going to be made built to last, you know? It's all just about doing what you can. And sometimes, like, yeah, you'll only, like, realize it very later on of, like, okay, this wasn't working out for me or so. Or anything in between of that kind of sort of talking and such. We can't ask for everything to be handed to us. But especially, like, when it comes to, like, once again, like, with, like, me and Gil Force, like, so my other friends, like, Lumi, Guppy, etc., so... I found them, and I've really taken a liking to them, and I just want to stick with them as much as I can. I want to just, like, yeah, cherish that friendship for the long haul as much as I can. Do so. At the very least, I consider them a good friend, and they consider me one back. And that's all that I could really ask for when it comes to, yeah, having them on my side of the table. With the times, experiences, and memories that we get to make together, you know? Okay, I didn't know the exact situation there, Ombar. And I don't mean to, like, alienate it. I didn't mean to ever alienate any of them. I'm just saying that so, like... especially so, like, not every friend group is, like, the perfect, exact right crowd, if that makes any sense at all, you know? For every situation or so. I definitely have, like, some of my friends that I consider, like, my gaming friends, for instance, or so. So, like, I'll gladly, like, spend my times playing games with them while saying like, hey, I'm looking for like somebody else to group up with or so. And I also have like some of my friends groups to where I just kind of like, I just want to chill with them. I don't want to do anything more but just spend my time easily so and just not doing anything, but just, yeah, enjoying chill vibes and everything of that sort, if that makes sense. It's just all about, it's all about finding, like, what's the right group for you, and just finagling around with it. Because the main thing, especially so, is that, although, like, with, like, your friend, or with, like, how it comes to in friend groups or so, it's your health that always will come first. You need to do what works for you, you know? If something isn't working for you, you need to say that out loud, and then be able to start working towards making it better for how you want to make it work and such, you know? Because it's your priority. Because it may sound a little selfish, but it really isn't. Your mental health, your health, your situation and such takes precedent over other people. And a lot of people want to always put themselves secondary, their friends' interests or so, but no, really do not. As a friend, you need to be there to stick up for your fellow friends, or your fellow brother, sister, and such like that or so. It doesn't mean that you should have to, like, that you are a stepping stone in just being there as, like, you know, like, as the B team to their A team, as the NPC to their player character or so. It's a give and take. We support each other because we can, all together, all of us here. It's not just I'm doing this for my own gain and such, or anything of that sort or so. And although things may not always work out between friends or so, we're all adults here. And at the very least, we can all try to understand and get behind, look, things may not work out, but between us, right, from your situation or so, doesn't mean that, like, we can't try to help you out for next time things happen or so. I've had my fair share of arguments, altercations, and everything between my own friend groups. Definitely so. It doesn't mean that we all can't just step back and then just say, okay, let's take this as a moment to just, like, step back, sit back, and see how we can try to grow as people here, you know? Because nobody's perfect. We're not all going to be getting everything on our first try and everything in between, yeah? But what is important is how we treat each other as we continue to try to get better, as we try to continue to improve ourselves. Because it's gonna, I'm gonna sound like every, like, Bible reading or whatever here, or, like, yeah, or, like, preaching pastor or so. But it, like, just strength of your character by what you do, not only when you succeed, but when you screw up, and decide how you want to own up to it, or treat other people if they screw up or so, is really your test of character. Because when it comes to, like, your friend groups, yeah, it's like the meme of, like, saying you never want to be that guy in the friend group or so and such, you know? But it's another thing when it especially comes to a bigger fault of then saying, hey, like, hey, with streamers, you stick around because you enjoy, like, a streamer's content or so, right? You wouldn't come back to the same person if you didn't enjoy what they were doing or what they were saying or anything else of that sort, yeah? It's the same thing with friends. You're not going to sit around to a friend if you find them annoying, if you don't like what they're doing, or if they particularly get on your nerves more than, like, another person might. It's just as simple as that. Nobody's obligated to stick around just because, like, you know each other through mutuals or through, like, introductions or anything else of that sort. But like, as friends, we're going to stick around and hope for the best if things don't work out, or try to remedy things because we care about each other enough like that or so, you know? And hopefully that point's kind of sticking through, especially so, because not everything always has to be 100% sunshine with every friend group. There's no, like, yeah, like, the universe is unfair. You're never gonna have that 100%, like, friendship compatibility with everybody that you meet, or everybody that, like, your friends might meet or so. But at the end of the day, if you can at least, like, try to act like mature enough adults about it and everything in between and such, the fact is that, look, we're all growing as people. And if we can continue to improve ourselves and grow amidst, like, arguments, tears, rips crackles in the friendships that we make or so, that's a lot more to speak about how we are assessing, picking and choosing who we want to stick by and stand with, and growing together as people by 2020 or so. You know? It's just all about not only looking out for yourself, as in what you want in somebody, but also in being able to be the bigger person, or be the bigger man in the end. Yes, that sounds very cliche again, but hear me out as I go on to this. Of like being able to roll with the punches of like, look, this is actually one of my earlier topics when I was on the other group, the firehouse right there. But if like, it's one thing to be friends with somebody just like because like you know each other. It's another thing too where it's like, look, even though like you like X or Y may do something that you yourself don't like, and it's just them, it doesn't mean that the friendship's over and ruined because of it. You're still gonna be friends with them because no matter what traits that you might not consider that you like, that may be like more favorable upon others or so, you still stick with them because they're your friend. You care so much about this person that you'll stick through whatever BS that you don't like of them because you admire their more positive traits or how you get along more than the one or two negative traits. Positive outshadows and outweighs the negatives. And that's how it should be, of like, quite literally, friends are just the people whose crap that you decide to put up with. Nothing more, nothing less. Simple as that, yeah? That's just how it should be when it comes to being with, when it comes to hanging out with your friends and also picking your friendships. And at least for you, Ombar, I really hope that like, when things do get better, you're able to just reconcile with your friends as adults and just be able to put like, look, we're all just, it's always like we're all growing and learning together in life. Nobody's perfect. Nobody ever will be. It's just all about being able to accept the faults that people have and seeing the progress and motivation that they have here, you know? And I'm glad that I'm making things at least a little bit better for you, because once again, if I'm making that difference for one person or so, hey, job well done for me. That is all that I want to be doing on these podcast streams, especially so. Because, once again, friends, we stick our necks out for each other all the darn time. But especially so, it's not just the fact of I'll put up with you because I like X or Y traits more than I dislike X or Y traits of you. It's the fact that we go out of our way for each other. And this is going to be my last major topic of the stream or so. Motivation when it comes to. We put aside time out of our busy days to be with our friends. We will go way out of our way to spend that extra minute, second, hour, day or so with our friends or so, and everything in between, yeah? And when it comes to bigger faults, we buy each other gifts. We surprise each other with games and such, or get collabs and everything in between. There's a big difference between kind of shrugging it off and saying I'll deal with it, and actively motivating yourself to be okay, if somebody, if this person doesn't like X or Y about me, I'll actively work to become a better person because of that or so. And at least, especially with your case or so, Ombar, it's recognized that hey, look, it wasn't a disconnect of we can never be friends again because of your mental health issues or so. It was just clearly at least from what I'm hearing from your side of things, it was clearly pointed out and communicated, and they're giving you all the time to improve with your mental health. So that way, when things improve for everybody or so, things can, I wouldn't say go back to normal, but only can grow on from there, you know? Because, especially so, once again, it's a, you can, you can just decide to ignore something as much as you can and not try to mind it at all. But it is a stark contrast from ignoring something to actively going out of your way to like better something or fix something or so, you know? You didn't, like, nobody ever, like, well, asked you to do so, like, right purpose or so. The fact that, like, somebody decides to, like, put in the time and effort to better themselves on, like, the spectrum like this will show just how much they care about, like, maintaining their friendship or becoming that better person in the end. That's why self-growth journeys are so fantasized about in media, in my opinion, because it's showing you, yourself, and the quality of yourself as a person, of like, you're able to look beyond like mistakes or bad times or so, not only just like look upon, you know, like the good times and such, but be able to just zoom back and say, once again, we're all not perfect. Life, every day, it is always, and has always been and will continue to be, a learning journey for everybody. It's all about how we treat each other as we're all learning, growing, and continuing to try to do what's best for us every single day is what especially so matters. Because you can belittle people, especially so, about them like wanting to like step back. And like I'm saying this from like a very selfish point of view, as an objective standpoint, of like, oh, like, I'm like, get mental health, forehead, like, I'm fine, never had a problem, forehead, whatever, stuff like that. Let me take a sip real quick. But everybody is their own individual human being, and that's not to say everybody's their special own snowflake, and if you get offended by this, then you don't deserve human basic rights. But what I'm saying here, as my objective point, is that everybody will have to learn their own pace and grow at their own pace. And that is wildly different from person to person. Nobody will be able to have the same success story when it comes to like business or mental health or anything else as like big names on the block. As like famous celebrities or so, or whatever in between that may be like championed or heralded for like what they've done or what they've battled through or so. They're famous because of what they've done through their struggles and how they've bettered themselves through their struggles. Because we're all going, like, yeah, we could all be going through like the same different, similar bouts of like depression, mental sickness, anything of that sort or so. But it's what you do and how, and like that journey that you are continuously walking and working on. Mental health, it's not just like a simple thing of like a flu or an illness to where you're just kind of like, okay, alright, wow, I'm not sniffling anymore, gee thanks, I'm cured. It's not as simple as that. Mental illness has been and always will continue to be something that we are all working on together. And especially as mental health is becoming much more of this kind of like a normalized thing known within the world or so. What it comes to is that you need, like, yeah, like, once again, we are all going to have to strive to keep working on bettering ourselves and understanding that it's, once again, not as simple as you're not sniffling anymore, you don't have the flu, go home. You're fine now. Everybody, yeah, you may have like the same like case of like depression or other like different like mental health issues or so, but every case is very much so dependent on the person, and we cannot belittle somebody for having a faster or slower pace than another person otherwise, you know? We all have to do things at our own special pace Because we're all our own special snowflake, and I'm using this in its own positive light right here. Because when it comes to... The fact is that we are looking at very, very different ends of the spectrum when it comes to these things here. We are looking at what is perceived to be like, you know, it's something like on the outside as like physical illnesses versus what is something on the inside that you can't quantify. And it's the level of understanding that we can have for each other and everybody together to be able to say, hey, look, take the time that you need. I'll be there for you. Or just quite literally, yeah, just anything else of that sort and anything in between. Getting help is one thing, but having people understand that, like, look, you're doing what you can and that's all that we can really ask for, that's the other thing. If you're doing the best that you can and are motivated to do so as well, what more can people say? What more can people say about what you're doing? Sorry, I'm just taking a sip of water real quick. Actively trying to better yourself. Through finding help, through talking to professionals, to trying to like find and bridge that understanding with your friends, or if you're even on the other side of trying to understand how you can help out your friend, anything more like that or so. It comes to very much so different faults in how people not only will want to understand and help you out in these understandings, but also in just like showing their character. Once again, I'm coming back to this argument here of nobody nobody has to go out of their way to help you with something or so, but the fact is that they did. Why? Because they could, because they wanted to help you in these such as in these different situations and such, you know. They're doing this because they can. Because they care. And that is just like... Once again, it shows over the quality of their character. And just like what people... Like, how far people are going to bend for you. Not because they're debited or anything like that, but because they are your friends. It does not get any simpler than that. Quite honestly so. So when it comes to later on for you in your journey going onwards, Ombar, I really hope that things only just continue to get better for you. Very much so. Because mental health, as always, will take time. So I'll only just pray for just you to continue onwards, to just, yeah, continuing on with just getting better in all that you do, friend. And I hope that, like, the friends that you also have as well support you and all of your endeavors and how you improve on that side and onwards as well. This is a pretty nice racing car, I will say. Let's get back on to what we're doing here in power washing. Especially so. Back to the bigger point at hand that I wanted to like talk about as well. When it comes to motivation, I'll say this. I'll use my own example or so. I am looking towards my 3000 conversation, or 3110, or section 3110 class in Japanese for this coming school semester. And I have not had the motivation for studying it or just trying to get myself back into that funk recently at all. Just because, yeah, I'm lacking my motivation right now in it. But, now say this funny thing. For when it came to, like, some of my friends, like, some of, like, my mods and, like, yeah, like, my other, like, closer friends or so that I talked to, I put myself back to the studies, very recently so, because they said they wanted to learn Japanese, but they never, like, took a class in their life. So with my, bundled with, like, my old set of notes and such and everything in between, I went back to studying as hard and as much as I could. To not only as motivation for keeping my own chops up, but because I wanted to help them out, and I wanted to get back on that train for them. And then, really when you look towards the friends that you have, and like seeing how far you're willing to go for them, it really starts to like imprint off, like show off like how you're imprinting, how you're treating each other, and especially so like what you once again what you guys value in each other as friends, what you see each other as for. Because otherwise I wouldn't have had my motivation to get back on my Japanese train. Not only for the fact of like, hey, I'd be failing my class if I didn't put my chops to it, but also for the facts as well, like when you get to the grander scheme of things of like, hey look dude, if, like, I would love to be able to help them more in Japanese, and if I'm the person that's like their best resource to go to or so, I'll gladly put that pedal to the metal in relearning what I need to know, so that way they can, you know, start to be on that same level of understanding with me in what I know and what they know. And it helps us out both ways, but also I'm doing this especially so because if they came to me as a resource, I'm going to do my best to be the best resource that I can for them, you know? We do the best that we can, and especially when it comes to like asking for favors or so, we shouldn't expect anything more for that. We do it, like we do our favors to each other and such, because we're friends. Yeah? Oh, that's nice. We do, like, yeah, once again, we look out, we help each other out, and we'll gladly, like, yeah, pick up that tab, or drive each other, like, to the station or back, because we're willing to put ourselves out there. And I feel like that's, like, one thing that I really think really highlights the quality of, like, yeah, the company that you keep. Because although it is a timey-old saying of, like, not only is your character measured by what you do, but by the company that you keep, especially so, you'll imprint off of your friends on what you say, what you do, and how you treat each other or so. But there's also the fact of the matter of how much do you trust your friends if they don't trust you, for instance, or so, you know? It all comes around to that greater point in hand when you're looking towards, hey, how, like, do I trust them as far as I can throw myself? Which probably isn't that far, honestly. And how much more can I really do with gaining their trust or showing that, like, hey, look, they matter to me, you know? That's a nice car. Sorry, just eating myself another, what's its face? It's another sip of water that I'm taking right now. But I know, like, for me, when it comes to doing what I can for my friends, once again, you shouldn't ever expect gifts as you shouldn't ever expect gifts as a requirement, or you shouldn't ever expect things like what's his face? You shouldn't ever expect things to come out like money or time that should never be obligations when it comes to, like, when it comes to your friends or so. But for me, I find it, like, I think that's, like, that inherent trust that people have with each other, especially so, of, like, that is why these friendships are so much so more valued. Because not only is it understood of, like, look, you don't have to do this for me or so, or it's also the fact of the matter of, like, oh, you really didn't have to, like, when it comes to, like, when it comes to, what's his face? When it comes to, like, giving out these gifts and such and whatever, too, you know? I, myself, love giving gifts to my friends. It is one of the most heartfelt things that you can always do, and especially, like, when it comes to, like, when it comes to me and my friends, like, when I'm doing, like, my homemade stuff, like, for my IRLs and whatever, it comes to a bigger fault, because nothing beats a homemade gift, quite frankly. Like, nobody can ever match the time and care that is put into doing something homemade for somebody now, can you? It is a whole nother level of showing how much you care for somebody if you take time out of your day to, like, make a homemade card. Or to, like, yeah, do an art project for them or so. I cannot tell you how many different paintings, how many different things I've 3D printed or done with pearl beads and such. For the friends that I, like, for, like, yeah, my RLs. Because I can for them. And when it comes to, like, going online now, the art that I can make for them, the commissions that I can buy for them and such like that. Oh, like, me, myself, like, yeah, my style is mainly, like, Fire Emblem pixel arts or so, mainly, like, Fate's Awakening and such like that or so. But I'm trying to, like, look up more tutorials and such online so I can try to better the scope of my 3D pixel art. So I can try to cater to more of my friends and give them more of these gifts in returns, especially so. Because when it comes to a lot of what I'm doing for my friends and in between, I'm doing just because, once again, I care about them very much so, and I'd like them to, like, have that extra W in their life. I'd like them to be able to just, like, sit out there and just, like, yeah, be able to enjoy something that I've made for them, because, once again, that's one of the simplest things that I can do. If I can make something homemade for them, that, like, nobody else can replicate, that you can't just simply buy, that is cream on the crop right there for when it comes to being able to show how much that you care for somebody. When you're able to stand outside at the end of the day and say, hey, look, I made this myself. For them, it is their own special thing that nobody else will be able to say that they own or have. It's super, super sweet, don't you think? Because, like, once again, who else is going to be able to make this thing? Nobody. It will never be anybody else's. It is just exclusively mine that I have made. Yeah, people may try to replicate it, but it's something I put my own blood, sweat, and tears into. And for the people that I care about, I would gladly go that extra mile and spend that extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours doing or so. That's why I find, like, these art commissions, even though they are time consuming, super fulfilling, because, yeah, I may have, like, my resources, thank you, like, Spider's resources, so, but I'm still, like, alright, this is what I can try to base the models off of, but I'm doing everything painstakingly, pixel by pixel, hand by hand. When it comes to, like, me, like, working on, like, my alternate hair colors, for instance, or so, was doing, like, back when I was still on my old model or so, I had to fix a lot of those, almost pixel by pixel, because there's a lot of, like, small buds and everything wrong with them or so. And it was really frustrating, but that's the quality that I wanted to have going onwards for my work and such. And when it especially came to, like, my commissions opening up now, that's why I don't worry too much about revisions, because especially like for pixel art and whatever, I want this to be the best product that my clients are receiving. And when it comes to my gifts or so, that's why I'm always just kind of like, hey, I know I made this a while back for you, but here's like version 2. Here's a fix up on the one that I made for you and stuff like that or so. Because I always want to be putting my best foot forward for the people that I have. It is a very, very key difference between doing something because you have to and doing something out of passion or because you can for somebody or so. And I feel that especially when it comes to in the realm of like caring for your friends, it's a different level of compassion that you can show for them in giving them a gift versus in making a gift versus buying a gift. And don't get me wrong, buying a gift is never wrong. But the fact that, like, once again, nobody else is going to be able to make the same thing as you. Yeah, you may not be a god artist or so. Or yeah, you may not be, like, the best editor. But once again, the fact that, like, nobody else could have made X or Y. You did. Out of your own time, you took all the time out of the world to work on this thing for this one person, and nobody else would have. That is time commitment that you will be never getting back, and you're doing it all for them just because you can. Who else can really say that? Who else can really say that but you? I'm glad that at least like with like the people that I have around me as my company, a lot of them will gladly like share the same thoughts of, look, if it means something for my friend, I'm going to make it the best. I'm going to make it the best that I can. Because that's how it should be. You should be always giving your 100%, especially so when it comes to the people that you care about. And I'm in maybe like a very like happy, jittery mood when it comes to that, especially so because, at least for me, with my commissions opened up, with my commissions, okay, no, misspell, misheard, what's its face? With my commissions finally done with my current batch or so, I want to possibly work on improving my art a little bit more before I open up again, and also working on a few others, so I need to work on my fellow Gale Force members, Z and Faroy, at the moment here, before I do go onwards with reopening again, and also there's the argument of school, if you want to put that out there as well. But it's just so, like, I know that, like, art commissions are a big thing, and once again, I am still just a smaller fry when it comes to, because the people that, like, put themselves out there in the market for, like, the $300, $400 and such, for, like, they're, like, 5-man full bodies, group shots or so, it's like, dude, props off to you, because I understand that grind, and it is something else entirely. All the love to those people who commit all that time and effort and such, quite frankly so. But getting back to the topic at hand, like, art is especially so, and because I've been dabbling more in it now, like, because I'm not good at, like, regular, like, digital. I can draw traditional, but that's just very crudely. And so, like, people, like, art commissions. I'm going on to this now, aren't I? Yep, I am. You cannot, like, since they are custom fit and made, like, the fact, I remember it's like, there's always a discourse about, like, people charging prices. About it, it's like, oh, it's too much, and you're only doing X or Y amount or so. And I'm just gonna weigh in my 2 cents about it. My pixel sprites are, like, $25 for an idle, and then $45, not 45, just straight $40, or if you wanted to have, like, running left and right animations or so. Yes, the pixel sprites are very much so smaller in comparison to others. I am not like Chain and Nate, who is an amazing pixel artist and also pixel scientist VTuber. You can check them out. I think they were streaming earlier, if I remember correctly or so. I am nowhere near their quality or so, but I am at least like making like my like it's not my own art style, it's freestyle, but it's a style that I like working with and what I am skilled with or so at the very least. And so I'm going to charge what I think is right for my prices, right? I was debating about what I wanted to charge for my prices for the longest of time, I remember. Because I literally, like, the way that I decided upon them was like, okay, how much am I earning at my job right now? Versus how much time, like how much was I earning at my job, my current part-time job, by the hour? Versus how much time am I usually spending to try to make a sprite or so. And that's just as simple as it gets with how I came up with my pricing for my pizza art. And it didn't need to get any simpler than that, quite frankly so. Because especially so, once again, it's something that you cannot just say, oh yeah, that's only $25 for this piece, and that's only $40 for this piece or so. The fact that we are not only accommodating you in like your request or so, in case like you're one person to like make a million request of like this has to be exactly this or so, or just saying it's like, here's my references, go wild. The fact is that these commissions, they are still custom made, custom made fit both to last whatever orders. It's not just like we're making them off the conveyor belt. We are actively making them however you want them to be. And so it's, you can't argue like for like some services it can be like, okay, it's way too much for like this one thing versus like this other thing or so. Many other times, like just like step back and like think about, no, this is gonna sound ludicrous, the artist as an actual human being. Because their lives are as busy as yours, and for many of them, like myself included, the commissions are a side gig. I'm not working on them 24/7, but it is another way for me to be able to support myself financially, since that goes straight into my college fund. You know? And the fact that, like, yeah, it's one thing to, like, say, it's like, hey, I'm not satisfied with it. It's like, okay, that's why we have, like, revisions in our TOS policy and such like that or so as well. But at the same or like things of like when it comes to payment, like PayPal only, half upfront, or for me it's full upfront, etc., etc. The fact that like we are making your model to order is is a very big thing, and especially like if you don't like, I don't know, like Wish.com or like any other website that has like custom made order like picture frames with like your name on it or whatever, such like that or so. The fact is like, those things aren't always going to be perfect, and neither are we. We're human beings. If there's something wrong with like the art that you don't like, you can talk to us about it, and then that's why we have like, hey, you're allowed 1 or 2 revisions for your product or so and such and whatever. And if people aren't satisfied, well, what else can we do? We offer our services to the best of our ability. But at the same time, when people whenever I always see the discourse about like, man, why are you charging X amount for your art when I could have done your art in like Y time? It's like, okay then, dude. If you're complaining about my art, why don't you do it then? Why don't you make the art? Like, it literally doesn't get any simpler than that. If you're complaining about the quality of the art, or like how like anybody can do it and like you're overcharging, alright then, dude. Put your money where your mouth is. You don't want to spend a dime on my art because you think somebody else should do it better? Do it yourself! People forget that at the end of the day, not only is this kind of art a service, but it's a paid service, and the artist, it's not somebody's just chugging off the assembly line. This art is done by somebody who will personally painstakingly look over it, and will constantly be like, am I doing it right? Is this going to look well? Is this exactly what they requested? Because they did request for this and X and Y to be. Help, help, help. I don't want to disturb them, and I don't want to ask, otherwise it may seem like I'm an incompetent artist, which I'm just throwing out these arguments here, but hopefully the point is getting across right here, especially so when it comes to like, we're all human beings or so. And when it comes to these art commissions, dude, why are people so spineless in being able to like thank the artist or so? Like, dude, come on. Why can't people understand that not every service can be perfect? If people will get up in arms and complain about like their McDonald's burger having pickles about it or so, that's like, dude, okay, it's one. That's from some. That's right, literally like from like a 16-year-old flipping burgers as part of like his part-time job. That's probably paid like a little less than minimum wage or whatever for. Us artists here, we're freelancers. We're doing the best that we can, dude! What more do you want from us? If you have a problem with it, we have like our TOS, and we are doing the best that we can for you. For the product that you want at the end of the day, dude. Just taking a sip of water right there. Look at that. Nice and clean. Fire truck and firehouse complete. Recreation vehicle? Why not? Let's buy some more. That's wood, that's not metal. I have so much money, I might as well buy this stuff. In bulk. So I have no reservations about using it. Alright. But back to what we're doing on about here. What up? Alright. So, getting back to what I was especially talking about when it came to those commissions. Oh my goodness gracious. I see this discourse almost every other week about price charging for commissions and such. And once again, when it comes to the biggest things that I feel like that people really don't understand and respect is like art isn't a real major. Anybody can pick up a pencil and draw this stuff. Do it then! No balls! Do it yourself! I see this discourse a lot because I have a lot of my friends who are art students themselves, but it's like, it's really ludicrous with how much people will get up in arms about it. When it comes to like prices or quality or so. Quality, yeah, you could say is like one thing of like, let's say they didn't deliver on your expectations, but that's your expectations versus what this artist, this, may I remind you, human being is able to do. Not everybody is going to be perfect on their first merry-go-round. And especially so, like, my craft is only getting better with every piece that I do, with every time that I'm making something X or Y or so. So, all that you can do is just, hey, what, give us the benefit of the doubt, let us do the best that we can for you. And we'll try to make it worth your while, and the money that you have so graciously paid us, like, for the job for. And everything in between, you know? Because like what? If I want to keep getting more people contacting me, since once again, like, commissions are a freelance job, I'm going to put my best foot forward. There's no time when I'm not going to be skimping out on you. And especially so, like, I'm just getting very rabid about this topic, because art is something else. I've spent so much time on pixel art lately because I was working on Miss Sucrose's running sprites or so, and playing around with like how I wanted the tail to jiggle and making sure it didn't overlap with her hair and such like that, which like once again, if you saw on like my Twitter or in my Discord server, like how those things turned out, you can clearly see it's like how I'm able to like mesh things a little bit better, or how I'm getting better with working where I want X or Y with. Because, like, I want to take my time in these commissions since, you know, this is exactly the case of, hey, look, I want to be able to make this as beautiful as it can be. It needs to be beautiful for my client because, quite frankly, not only are they paying me to make it beautiful, but I want to showcase what I can do with it. And I am, once again, still getting better and better every single time that I'm working on a sprite. It's progress, it's still progress, but it's progress nonetheless of just me continuing to work through when it comes to this stuff. And it's really discouraging to always hear people belittle artists. Maybe it's just because you're out on Twitter to where we have a lot of people that are freelance workers, freelance workers, people are waiting to be commissioned and everything of that sort or so. But if people are looking for a service, you're looking for a specialist in the service. And nobody can say now, and I'll take that hydrate, nobody can say now that, like, if you haven't spent any time on art at all, like, this doesn't go for art itself, this just goes in general for life. If you have no experience with something, you don't have any damn room to talk about it now, do you? Like, I'm just being 100% honest here. If you have no idea how hard it is to do X or Y, you cannot talk about it. And I'm just saying that flatly. You have no room to complain about why this is so hard, or like why somebody can't perform up to the task. When it comes to, especially like the art argument, like, bro, if you can't do it yourself, don't spend time like lecturing people like how much they should be charging for their prices, or why they should only cater to like your type of like liking or such like that or so. We're going out of our way to do the commission that you want us to do and whatever, right? So, at the very least, we're trying our best to fit and accommodate your needs. And once again, if you can't do it yourself, well, I mean, that's on you, my friend. There's a reason why you contacted us, and you didn't do it yourself now, right? I'm just being honest with that statement right there. I am just being honest. Alright, let's see here. Just make sure the drill is almost finishing up here. But like, once again, I'm being very, very anal about the subject at hand here. But it's like, so many of my friends who are artists just get the short end of the stick when it comes to being treated fairly about this stuff. And it's like, it isn't that hard to treat artists like people. Like, really so. I'm just putting it out there. I don't see why they always have to make it such a hard thing of understanding that art takes time and work, and the quality is not always going to be 100% form fit as to how you'd want it to be, but we're doing our best. Can't you, like, at least understand that? And be compassionate about that? At least as best as you can be? If you're narrow-minded about thinking about that? I don't know. Maybe I'm just, once again, talking a little bit more about it since I did just finish my commissions. And I'm not saying this to slide under anybody who contacted me, because everybody who has been on my wait list and who I did stuff for, they have all been super nice and understanding and just amazing. For me, like, really, like, well, it's the second time I've opened up my commissions ever on this here. But, like, I'm just saying, like, community as a whole, yes, it's the internet, and yes, it's Twitter. It's going to be a cesspool. But you just find new ways to just be utterly shocked and disappointed in humanity at these times, you know? It's just sad and disappointing. The fact where it's like, really? We're getting mad about this? Why? You know? But I digress, I digress. I think I'm getting on to my point here a little bit too much about art prices. But I do kind of want to talk about the art here itself. And I'm thinking I'm going to call it after this card that I do here for stream. But when it comes to making my pixel art or so, since it is sprites, I am very, very meticulous about doing everything to the best of my ability, since, you know, you'll clearly see if there's like a misplaced sprite that makes it jump or jitter or skitter a little bit more than it needs to on the sprite itself when I have it animated and running and such. And especially so, like, this is just me, but I do love pixel sprites. I do love playing, like, of course, I love me my Fire Emblem. That's exactly the sprite style that I am taking my stuff from. And when it comes to, like, you have to be almost near a perfectionist in making sure that it looks super nice. And looking to, like, my artist friends who are actual artists. Okay, I say actual artists, so I discounted sprite artists. No, I'm a sprite artist. I'm just discounting myself, rather. Oh, geez, dude, that is a whole nother level of grind and commitment that they are putting themselves into. But I'm sharing enough pains that I feel like I think I have enough of a basis to talk on, especially so on this. But, like, oh my goodness gracious, oh my goodness. When I'm getting to work on my sprite art, it takes me hours and hours on end sometimes of like just deciding, okay, how do I want to make this thing work right here? How do I want to make, like, this little section and such work out for me and whatever, you know? Because once again, everything needs to be as spick and span as I can make it for myself. Because otherwise, I'm not going to be happy with the product, and also, probably, like, if it's right for a commission, my client's not going to be happy with the product. But, like, respect for artists already was high. It just only goes higher with every time I continue to do more of my sprite art, because it's like, oh my goodness gracious. It takes so long. That's not to say it's a bad thing or so. I very much so am a slower worker, just by my own nature. So I'm very meticulous in wanting to make sure everything is right as it can be. And when it comes to, it's really a bigger fault of just saying, hey look dude, at least like for Minecraft, I want to be a lot more careful with it. I want to make sure it's looking good. And, oh man, I'll gladly put in that extra little effort if it means, what's its face? If it means I can make the whole product look that much a little bit better and such, you know? There we go. But pixel art is hard work sometimes, dude. Because it really, many of the times, especially so, and this is probably just a me thing more than anything, I really feel like I see a problem with it, and I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm restarting this entire section because I am unsatisfied with it. Because at least like when it comes to like picking out my color palette and such like that, I feel like I can do that pretty darn quickly, since, you know, I can at least know like how to make sure like colors blend well together or stick out enough and such. But then when it especially comes to making the pieces, I have many times where I'm just kind of like, okay, nope, this is not working out. I'm just going to start this from scratch and we're trying this again. Is that just a me thing, or is that a whole artist thing? Because at least like if it is a me thing, oh man, dude, I am just constantly, yeah, on that entire birds of just thinking to myself, ah, jeez, this is something that I screwed up and I need to just fix now. Or, alright, this is something I am never recovering from. Time to just start from square one. For the umpteenth time now. Is it just a me thing, or do other artists feel that? I feel like other artists should feel that, but probably to like lesser extents, or to different extents, I think. Because I'm nowhere near a perfectionist, but of course, if it's pixel art, and once again, if it's my art, I want to get it to be as close as possible. to how I want it to seem. How I want it to seem. How I want to envision it. Because there is definitely always going to be a lot of room of error when it comes to making my sprites. But since, you know, yeah, if it's my art, nobody will notice, so maybe if I add some sort of a drawing problem in it or so. But it also is my art, and I want to be prideful and be able to hold my head up high about it and such, you know? I don't want to look at it and just be like, at it, you know? Maybe it's just I'm cleaning so many cards, but there's so much darn metal that I'm just cleaning all the time, dude. Alright. We're getting some good underwear in this card. Let's try the glass cleaner real quick. Glass. I mean, hey, not gonna lie, that's pretty quick. Okay, yeah, that's pretty nice, not gonna lie. Let me switch back to metal real quick and start dusting off the majority of this stuff right here. Good stuff, Cruzy. Alright, I can start touching some of that stuff later. Glass this up. Sir, begin the glassing. Or like whatever it was called in Halo. The glassing. Yeah, great job, Cruzy. Might gonna ask Kaito about that a little later. But just like, I'm just happy that at the end of the day though, when it comes to like talking about that art argument and such, that people enjoy my art. Because me being a huge Fire Emblem fan, I'm very always, like, once again, hey, Intelligent Systems, you're Super Mario Maker, what about Fire Emblem Maker? When are we getting that? Yeah, we're already getting Reboot Camp for Advanced Wars. I shouldn't hold my hopes up way too high now. So I should just be happy enough that we got Advanced Wars back in the mainstream again, boys. But, anyways, right, the fact that, like, I didn't see anybody making, like, these Awakening Fate style sprites was like, okay, this should be something I could use as kind of like an entry into the market. FE Maker is just RPG Maker? No, but I want a full FE Maker that isn't just ROM hats! Ah! Because I started making ROM hats, I don't want to put in that effort. Plus, you know, getting that would also be super awesome for the mainstream, too. Just putting that out there. But, get into things. So, you know, like, yeah, I didn't see, I know I follow, like, one person on Twitter that does, like, old GBA style, but, like, it's the head sprites I remember they do. Seeing them do that stuff or so. Whereas for me, like, once again, never saw any, like, of the, like, the map standing sprites themselves. And since Spreaded Resource is a great way for me to, like, start, was a great way for me to start doing my research and, like, okay, how I want this stuff to work or so, it really came to a good fault in me understanding then, okay, this is how the anatomy works, this is how I can make this work, and I would say the biggest boon for me was when my D&D group, we had to go online due to COVID and we couldn't meet in person anymore. Because what that then came to be was, instead of having, you know, like actual minifigures and such for our D&D characters, since, you know, like we weren't in person anymore, we went online to Roll20. And so what did we use there? Me and one other member of our group, we started making our own Fire Emblem, you know, like idle sprites and such like that for the map, I remember. And so that's really where I started doing the sprite work, and it just kind of compounded from there. Now I've finished up my current batch of commissions, and I'm going to look to reopen once I find myself a good lull in time and such, and everything in between, you know? Which I'll especially be looking forward to, since not only is it more income for me, but quite frankly, that's the best tweet that I've had. Right, I think like 1,500 views. Like, holy crap, dude! You know, do you know what this means? It means I'm a more popular artist than I am a VTuber. Yeah. joking, but you guys get what I mean enough of like, hey, what? it's a good stepping stone in my career of like, I'm having a pretty diverse portfolio in that sense, especially so when it comes to. Ah, that was a big car to get through. I hate doing the windows, so you have to hit around all the sides like that. But that is satisfying, and that is super nice, quite frankly. I'm very happy with that. Very, very happy with it. Because I've done all of these ones here. Do I want to do a forward cottage right now? I'll take a look at it, and then I'll see if I want to do it. Or I could just also end off stream right then and there, too. We'll see about it. I'll see how I'm feeling about this, yeah? I'll see how I am feeling about this. Give me 1 second here. I'm just pulling up Twitch to see. Oh, my boy's streaming. Oh, yeah, because he's alive again. Well, I think I'll go ahead and raid him after. But first, let's check out how this house is looking. Oh, and we're spraying fence too. Oh, and we got this thing back again. Yikes, that's a lot of stuff. Well, you know what? I think I'll save that for next time over. Alright, everybody. Well, I think I will then call stream right then and there for us today. So thank you, everybody, for joining me on my podcast by Proxy. It's been wonderful being your wonderful win mage, your cruise ship captain. Chartreuse Proxy, ever at your service. Wherever you are, wherever you may be, have yourselves a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night now. Thank you, everybody who stuck around through all the rambling and all the talking that I always do. I really do enjoy these streams. But here, for now, let's have ourselves a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, and let us enjoy reading ourselves our boy. And thank you, everybody, for coming on once again.